This is not what it looked like historically. It used to be this like meandering creek that came through this area, but everything was forced into these pools by Robert Moses and his team for the World's Fair. Here again, we see all these highways. So when we talk about all that stormwater being the largest input of fresh water, a lot of it's coming from these roadways here. The creek is kind of ironically channeled underground in the most kind of popular part of Flushing Meadow Corona Park. So much so that a lot of people don't really know it exists or know that it's a river that connects to this giant bay. So it's easy to kind of see those things here. Right now we're here.
And I think one thing that's kind of fun, so this is actually Flushing Creek water. If you go back to the park, this is the fountain of the planet, and it's Flushing Creek water. And it used to be an operating fountain, but it was spraying bacteria at everybody, and so they had to turn it off. But it's a cool way to kind of see that there's this beautiful thing that's supposed to be this big fountain, and yet the water is kind of gnarly inside, and so you can see this kind of interacting with both constructing a constructed environment on top of a very natural environment that wants to flow as it flows. So that's one thing I want to name. Yeah, and then so then I also just want to name that if you visit Willow Lake, you'll also see it's it's hard to get here because it's surrounded by Phragmites, which is
there's only one entrance and exit also.
Right, to kind of the original point too.
Where is that entrance?
I think it's here in Kew Gardens Hills. There's a little bridge that brings you in. So this is all wildlife preserved, which I think is why they made it a little bit hard too. But
yes, that's right. Okay, and then just again, context. Fed Up formed around Special Flushing Waterfront District,
which is 29 acres that runs basically between Northern Boulevard and Roosevelt Avenue, here next to Flushing Creek.
And so this is 1,725 units of market rate housing, 61 units of affordable housing, so terrible.
And 800 hotel rooms. So really,
This was approved, and then this is the Willets Point redevelopment. And so this is a 61-acre redevelopment, so it includes a soccer stadium, which is the thing that's really in the news, right? But it also includes affordable housing, a school, senior housing.
And I think it's important to note, the Willets Point development really comes out of bad Robert Moses inequitable planning, taking land from people through eminent domain type of stuff.
Cody, could you say that again? Sorry.
Okay,
I'm rolling.
The Willets Point development really comes out of Robert Moses era planning practices. So it used urban renewal to threaten landowners with eminent domain, which would mean the city would come and say, I am taking this land from you because what we're going to build here is better. Unfortunately, that proposal was building the mall in the parking lot over there. So a lot of these businesses were closed and shut down only to sit vacant for 10 years because that proposal died in court. It's a 61-acre special district. The land that is being developed now and the land where people have been kicked off out of their businesses, the land that will have the 2,500 units of affordable housing and the soccer stadium is only in the first 23 acres of the project. There is still 2/3 of Willets Point that has the same operating businesses, the same industrial businesses and automotive businesses that have been there for decades. So, they try to push this narrative of a whole new place, everything's new and nothing was there. There are still long-term, mostly immigrant-owned businesses in that area. Don't let them tell you that they're not. There's still people there. There's still people that make their livelihood from that place despite everything that's about to go into it. And I think as they build the soccer stadium, as they built this housing, as they shut down roads, this is an area that really had automotive industry in it. They're really choking off the existing businesses and continuing to make things harder to operate and function after they really had their land rights abused. And then here's Citi Field. This is where we walk straight through to the arena. And this whole big area of land is that 65 acres that Steve Cohen and his team wants to alienate for a casino. So it's really 150 acres of adjacent properties that are being primed for development one way or another, and they have been for the last 30 years. That's questions?